let's be real, we are smack in the middle of this huge, kind of chaotic financial revolution. So in this explainer, we're going to try to cut through all of that chaos and focus on one absolutely critical question. Beyond all the hype, all the noise, what actually gives a digital asset real, lasting value?
This quote right here, it just nails the problem, doesn't it? I mean, how many times have you seen investment decisions driven by a trending hashtag or a sudden wave of market panic? The source material points out a really harsh truth. When that noise finally dies down, so does investor confidence. And, a lot of the time, so does their portfolio.
And that brings us to the big question. Really, why do some of these projects just explode, while others, well, they just fizzle out and die? I'm telling you, it's not random. There are these underlying laws, these hidden patterns that separate the winners from the losers. And today, we are going to uncover them together. Okay, so first, we've got to understand the environment we're all operating in. The source material calls it the noise machine, and honestly, that's the perfect description for a system that rewards gut feelings and speed over careful preparation and actual, knowledge.
And this cycle you see on the screen, this is exactly what happens when you get caught up in that machine. Sound familiar? You end up buying at the absolute peak of the hype, you sell at the very first sign of a dip, and you confuse what's popular with what's actually valuable. It's a total recipe for financial disaster.
So, how do we escape this noise machine? Well, we do it by focusing on a hidden, fundamental force that anchors strong projects, even in the wildest market storms. The source material has a great name for it: value gravity. Let's break this down a bit. Value gravity isn't about those quick, short-term price pumps. No, it's the powerful, long-term pull that projects with real substance naturally generate. They just naturally attract dedicated users, serious capital, and sustained interest because they're built on something real. This slide lays out the difference perfectly. Think of hype as a flash flood. It's fast, it's emotional, and ultimately it's destructive. But value gravity, that's like a deep river. It moves slowly, it follows the real landscape of utility, and it sustains itself for the long haul. Hype collapses, gravity endures. But value gravity isn't just some abstract concept. Nope, it's built on concrete, measurable pillars. So let's break down the anatomy of what actually creates that powerful, sustainable pull. The source identifies a few, but these four are the absolute foundation. First up, utility. Does this thing actually solve a real problem for real people? Second, community. Is there a vibrant, engaged group of people who are genuinely invested in its success? Third, tokenomics. Are the economics of the token itself designed for long-term health? And finally, developer activity. Are people actively building on it and making it better? And here's where the magic happens. A project doesn't need a perfect 10 out of 10 in just one area. The real power comes when these pillars start working together. See, strong utility pulls in a community, which then incentivizes developers to build more, which in turn strengthens the tokenomics. It becomes this incredible, self-sustaining cycle of growth. Okay, so that's the theory, but how do you actually apply it? Well, the source material gives us a super practical tool, the Digital Value Scorecard, or DVS for short. This is the key to moving from a gut feeling to a structured analysis. The whole point of the DVS is to give you a framework. It stops that vague, this project feels promising kind of thinking and forces you to ask, okay, how promising? And based on what data? It's all about bringing some real structure to your research. And the best part, using it is incredibly simple. You just take those four pillars we talked about and you rate each one on a scale from 1 to 10. The key here is to be brutally honest with yourself and to hunt for red flags. Anything scoring a 3 or below is a huge warning sign. And just like that, you suddenly have a systematic way to compare different assets side by side. So let's look at this thing in action. Take Hypecoin over here. Its community score is a massive 9. That's why everyone's talking about it. But look closer. Its utility and tokenomics are deep in the red flag zone. Now compare that to ValueCoin, which is strong pretty much across the board. The noise might be with Hypecoin, for sure, but the value gravity is clearly with ValueCoin. The DVS is a powerful tool, no doubt, but it's just one tool. The final step is to build an entire system around it. The source has a fantastic name for this, your war library, a personal, organized system for making smart, prepared decisions for the long haul. Think of it this way. An investor with a war library
isn't just reacting to the market's whims. They're operating from a personal command center, filled with their own research, their own checklists, their own strategies. It is the ultimate shift from being reactive to being proactive. So this slide here is your roadmap. Your library is where you keep all your scorecards, your notes on tokenomics, your observations on the community, and, this is critical, your predefined checklists for when to buy and when to sell. Why? Because it takes destructive emotion completely out of the decision-making process. This right here is the ultimate takeaway. Forget hunting for the next hot tip on social media. The single most powerful tool you have is your own disciplined, organized research. Your preparation is your greatest weapon. And in the end, it really all comes down to this one crucial shift in mindset. Price is just what you pay. It's temporary. It's all noise. Value is what you actually get. That's the fundamental signal. The winners, they learn to ignore the noise and just focus on the signal. So I'll leave you with this to think about. When you look at your own investments, are they built on the shaky ground of hype, or are they anchored by the deep, steady pull of value gravity? Ask yourself, is your portfolio truly built to last?